Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com, promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in on this Monday morning. Glad to have you join me. Hope you had a great weekend. It was a busy one in a lot of fronts. We're going to try to cover as much as we can. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says that Iran had marked President Trump as enemy number one with an assassination plot. We have the latest details of the latest turmoil in the Middle East. Senator Rand Paul says he's not a definite no vote on President Trump's big, beautiful bill, but he's not a yes vote yet either. Senator John Fetterman supports President Trump's military parade and called on Americans to celebrate regardless of politics. And a new dramatic series of photos show a Minnesota lawmaker's home was damaged in a weekend shooting as a manhunt for the suspect ended last night. We have an update on the reported arrest of Vance Boelter. And Buster Murdaugh scores a legal win in the defamation fight over a documentary that CNN broadcast that had murder implications. This is a big win for Murdaugh and could be trouble for CNN.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
It was another night of terror in the skies over Israel as missiles were seen raining down on central Israel after Iran launched another barrage early this morning. While the missiles continued to fly into Israel's airspace, air defense systems were seen countering the barrage, shooting several out of the sky. The aftermath was horrific, though, as Fox News' Trey Yingst reported, talking to a man who was bleeding, Yingst reported multiple buildings were damaged by the missiles, which may have been from a direct hit. We have some of the latest information on what's happening in Israel. And just a side note, as someone who has been to Israel 5 times, was planning to go back in October, which would have been trip number 6. It's sort of been an on-again, off-again trip. We had it planned. Mike Gallagher and I were going to broadcast from there on the anniversary, the October 7th anniversary. We were going to take some listeners with us. Then, with things heating up in the spring, we decided that it probably wasn't a good idea to take listeners with us, but Mike and I were going to still go and broadcast, and then that part of the trip was canceled as well, just because of intelligence saying that things could get kind of dicey over there around October the 7th. Then we sort of renewed the idea that we might still go just this past week. We had additional talks about the idea of being over there October 7th when this new fighting broke out over the weekend. I think that probably was all done. I don't know that we'll make it to Israel in October. Yesterday afternoon, in a special report with Brett Baer, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that his country made the decision to go on the offensive against Iran in order to take out their nuclear capability, saying that Israel was protecting themselves as well as the rest of the world.
Because we were facing an imminent threat, a dual existential threat. One, the threat of Iran rushing to weaponize their enriched uranium to make atomic bombs with a specific and declared intent to destroy us. Second, a rush to increase their ballistic missile arsenal into the capacity that they would have 3,600 weapons a year, new weapons within 3 years, 10,000 ballistic missiles, each one weighing a ton, coming in at Mach 6, right into our cities, as you saw today. And then in 6 years, 20,000. That's no country can sustain that, and certainly not a country the size of Israel. So we had to act. It was the 12th hour. We did act to save ourselves, but also, I think, to not only protect ourselves, but protect the world from this incendiary regime. We can't have the world's most dangerous regime have the world's most dangerous weapons. We're protecting ourselves, but by doing so, we're protecting many others.
Netanyahu told Fox News he believes Israel's offensive measures have kept back or set back the Iranian nuclear program quite a bit, sharing his belief that negotiations with the terrorism-sponsoring regime were clearly going nowhere, he said. He also said that his country is prepared to do whatever is necessary to eliminate the nuclear and ballistic missile threat that Iran poses to the entire world. Netanyahu has described the operation coined as Operation Rising Lion as one of the greatest military operations in history. He addressed the Iranian people. He said that they had been oppressed for 50 years by the same Islamic regime that has long threatened to destroy the state of Israel. When asked what had changed that had prompted the attack now, the prime minister said that they had seen enough evidence to convince them that Iran had enough uranium to build a nuclear bomb.
We decided to act because we saw enough uranium, enriched uranium, for 9 bombs. And all they had to do was weaponize them. We stopped that. We're attacking their nuclear sites. We attacked their chief nuclear scientists working. It's like Hitler's nuclear scientists. Would you leave them? Of course not. We attacked their top command. I can inform you, Brett, that moments ago, we also got the chief intelligence officer and his deputy in Tehran, because we're now over the skies of Tehran. Our pilots, our brave pilots, are over the skies of Tehran, and we're targeting military sites, nuclear sites. That's what we're doing to take out those 2 threats. Unlike the Iranians, who your reporter said correctly, they're targeting our civilians.
Yeah.
They're bombing our civilians. So that's the difference. They're a terrorist regime. We can't have Iran have nuclear weapons.
Prime Minister Netanyahu also said that the Iranians who hate America and want to kill President Trump said that the Iranians had plans to give the nuclear weapons to the Houthis and others who would have wreaked havoc on the entire world.
And by the way, our intel shows that they intend to give these nuclear weapons to their Houthi proxies and others. And that's nuclear terrorism on a global scale. It threatens everyone. And the last thing is they have plans to develop intercontinental ballistic missiles. Right now, 8,000 kilometers, very soon, just out a little distance, and they can reach the eastern seaboard of the United States. These people who chant death to America, try to assassinate President Trump twice, killed 241 of your Marines in Beirut, killed and injured thousands of American soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq, try to bomb a restaurant in Washington, D.C., chant death to America, burn the American flag. Do you want these people to have nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to your cities? Of course not.
Yeah.
So we're defending ourselves, but we're also defending the world.
Brett Baer pressed the prime minister on how they know that Iran wants to assassinate President Trump. The prime minister confirmed in his interview, this was his first interview since Israel launched the attacks on Iran over the weekend, that Netanyahu revealed that he was also a target. But he said that the country's Islamic regime had pinpointed President Donald Trump as a threat to its nuclear program and had actively worked to assassinate him because they knew that Donald Trump would not stop until it was done. Netanyahu he kind of joked about being a target as well, but he went on to call himself Trump's junior partner in threatening Iran's ability to weaponize nuclear arms.
I want to talk about the nuclear threat, and I want to talk about President Trump. You just said Iran tried to assassinate President Trump twice. Do you have intel that the assassination attempts on President Trump were directly from Iran?
Through proxies, yes. Through their intel, yes. They want to kill him. Look, he's enemy number one. He's a decisive leader. He never took the path that others took to try to bargain with him in a way that is weak, giving them giving them basically a pathway to enrich uranium, which means a pathway to the bomb, padding it with billions and billions of dollars. He took up this fake agreement and basically tore it up. He killed Qasem Soleimani. He made it very clear, including now, you cannot have a nuclear weapon, which means you cannot enrich. He's been very forceful. So for them, he's enemy number one.
Yeah.
Look, they also tried to kill me, but I'm his junior partner. They understand that President Trump is a great threat to Iran's plans to weaponize nuclear weapons and use them.
When did you tell President Trump?
The Prime Minister said his country is facing an imminent threat of nuclear destruction and was left with no choice but to act aggressively in the 12th hour. And look, we owe Israel a debt of gratitude, and we owe them our support for taking this on, because Iran, it was just a matter of when, not if. Joey Hudson here. America is facing a health crisis, and the answer isn't more meds. I lost over 30 pounds on the PhD weight loss plan without Ozempic or any weight loss shots. Don't settle for a lifetime of medication. GLP-1 injections like Ozempic help some people lose weight, but they come with side effects, high cost, and most gain it back when they stop. At PhD Weight Loss, we reveal Big Pharma's big secret. Your body already makes GLP-1, the appetite-fighting hormone. Our program helps your body make it naturally so you'll drop the pounds faster. With the PhD method, no side effects, no long-term risk, no rebound weight gain, just natural, lasting results, all without hunger or cravings. Right now, get a free body scan and personalized metabolic assessment. Discover your body's true potential without a shot. It's free and gives you the keys to your personalized plan. Do like I did and don't trade your health for a quick fix. Call now at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or visit myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com. For those of you who are like me and love watching golf, you're a big golf fan, what an exciting U.S. Open yesterday. The final round in multiple rain delays. I tell you, the weather was just horrible. But the victor, J.J. Spawn, powered through what were very tough course conditions to win the 2025 U.S. Open at Oakmont Country Club, just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And boy, he did it in a dramatic fashion, too. He closed the door with the birdie at the 18th, which was a long, winding putt of 64 feet to secure the victory. It was the longest putt made by anyone in the field over the 4 rounds, and he was the only player under par winning with 1 under. What a tough course when you have players like Scotty Scheffler at 4 over. So what a dramatic finish. I just love watching golf like that. Love playing golf. Had a great time on Friday, by the way, as I played in the Upstate Junior Achievement Charity Tournament on Friday to raise money for a great organization. Junior Achievement does a wonderful job of educating young people in middle schools and high schools about business and real life things. They just do a great job. They have no government funding. It's all done on donations and local businesses supporting it. And their golf tournament's one of their big fundraisers. And it's always a fun tournament. So I played in that on Friday. My buddy Charlie James, whom you hear on afternoons 3 to 7 on 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas here in the upstate of South Carolina. Charlie played, and my the surprise player of the tournament was my wife's cousin's daughter, who is 12. And AB, as we call her, is a junior golfer, and she's really good for a 12-year-old. I mean, she was making a lot of men out there, yours truly included. Her dad, who played with us as well, but it's just fun watching someone young like her who is, been playing the game a few years and just very competitive and hanging in there with a bunch of old guys like me and Charlie James. On next to the last hole is a par 5. She single-handedly gave us our only eagle of the day as she just blasted her tee shot down the fairway. Her because she was playing from the red tees. And in tournaments like this, you have some special little games that you can play. So you got to choose one hole that was considered a red tee hole. And in her case, since she already was hitting from the red tees, she got to hit her first shot, then she got to tee it up again from there. So her next shot, which was really her first shot, had us 80 yards or so from the green. She nailed it. She laid one up with about 2 feet and then putted in for our only eagle of the day. So a lot of fun. I love golf, and it's just a great weekend. What a wild weekend in Minnesota. Photos released showed holes in the windows of Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark's home in Brooklyn Park, just outside of Minneapolis, following the Saturday morning shooting that left both of them dead. Federal and local authorities had a widespread search for the suspect, Vance Boelter, who is accused of killing Hortman and her husband. He is also accused of shooting State Senator John Hoffman, also a Democrat, and his wife, Yvette, in their nearby Champlain home. Photos show massive holes in several of the Hortman's windows on the backside of the house, while other windows in their garage door have been boarded up. South Dakota had put out an alert as authorities ramped up their search over the weekend, particularly yesterday afternoon. Senator Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota told NBC's Meet the Press that while authorities believe Boelter could have still been in Minnesota, they were asking residents in South Dakota to be on the lookout as well. Klobuchar said they've also put an alert out in South Dakota, adding that the suspect was still believed to be in the Midwest. The FBI was offering a reward of up to $50,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of Vance Boelter. Now, it's not been confirmed whether or not a tip was received that ultimately led to his capture. Late afternoon yesterday, Sibley County Sheriff's Office, this in Minnesota, confirmed that an alert was sent saying that the suspect's car had been found in the area of Faxon Township, which is in Sibley County, where he ultimately was found. The Sheriff's Office warned residents to use caution and to keep their doors locked. Senator Klobuchar also gave an update on Hoffman and his wife, saying that they are hanging in there after each suffering multiple gunshot wounds. She said his wife is out of surgery. She actually tested some of our mutual friends, and he may have some additional surgeries. The senator, that is. He is also in stable condition right now, from what's being reported. Klobuchar warned citizens not to approach Boelter, as he should be considered dangerous. Again, he was captured last night. Now, it's interesting, the first response of when we first heard about this, because they sort of automatically assumed that this was some right-wing guy, some conservative. As it turns out, he had been appointed by Governor Tim Walz to one of Minnesota's commissions. So, and some of the things that were found in his car after his car was found, he evidently had or was at least monitoring some of the No Kings protests. He had some of that literature in his car. So he was a Democrat. And after they learned who it was, people have confirmed that evidently he wasn't too happy with the Democrats, to the degree that he decided he was going to assassinate some of the, and evidently he had a longer list of other potential targets. Photos show Boelter's home also being boarded up in Minneapolis. Authorities said that the lawmakers were targeted in a planned attack. The FBI shared images of Boelter appearing to impersonate a police officer and wearing a mask while on the doorstep of one of the lawmakers' homes. It's kind of an eerie video. I watched part of it. And he has this mask. It sort of makes him look bald, which he's not. A second photo showed him wearing a tan cowboy hat at a Minneapolis business shortly after the shootings. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Democrats respond to this, one of their own shooting and killing two of their own. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. Senator Rand Paul says he's not a definite no yet, but he's not a yes either. We're going to get to that in just a minute and give you an update on President Trump's big, beautiful bill. As you know, he would like this to be passed by July the 4th, and we're halfway through June. So they're going to pick up the pace if that's going to be accomplished. Meanwhile, Senator John Fetterman, the Democrat from Pennsylvania, voiced his support for President Trump's military parade, saying that Americans should support it regardless of politics. Fetterman posted on X over the weekend, "This parade is comprised of our sons, daughters, mothers, and fathers, the very best of us. Regardless of your politics, it's appropriate to celebrate the 250 years of sacrifice, dedication, and service." President Trump presided over a parade celebrating the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army in our nation's capital. Thousands of Americans flocked to see this. The festivities included a display from the Army's Golden Knights parachute team, which conducted a jump above the crowd, multiple flyovers, World War II Jeeps on display, and members of the military waving to the crowds while riding in tanks down Constitution Avenue. He said, "Every other country celebrates their victories. It's about time America did too. That's what we're doing tonight." John Fetterman saying this. President Trump told the D.C. crowd, "As we celebrate tonight, we also think of the hundreds of thousands of Army soldiers who have made the supreme sacrifice for our nation and selflessly laid down their lives in every war, from the Revolution to the War on Terror to the Gold Star families with us today." In Alexandria, Virginia, a No Kings anti-Trump protest took place. The protests were a nationwide demonstration against the president. They were supported by Walmart heiress Christy Walton. Alexandria's branch was attended by an estimated 1,000 to 5,000 people. We saw these protests all around the country. In just about every city, they had one. Here in the upstate of South Carolina, Greenville, Spartanburg, Seneca, they were all around. And fortunately and thankfully, they appeared to be fairly peaceful. No reports of a lot of violence or people getting hurt. Now, Senator Fetterman was booed by attendees at the No Kings rally in Philadelphia. Fetterman, who was elected to the Senate after surviving a debilitating stroke, was once a progressive darling, but has since drawn the ire of his party for his views on Israel and immigration. In other words, the progressives, they don't like you thinking on your own. You're either all in or you're not one of them. And Fetterman has proven a number of times that he's not necessarily one of them. When asked, Leah Greenberg, the co-founder of the progressive nonprofit Indivisible, asked the crowd at the Pennsylvania rally, now, this is not a rally for one party. We've got Democrats here today. We've got Republicans and independents here today. We're looking to the leaders who will fight for us, because even today, there are folks among the Democrat Party who think we should roll over and play dead. Anyone seen John Fetterman here today? So she's calling him out. The crowd booed and yelled at the senator in response. She knew he was there, of course. The Pennsylvania senator was recently the victim of a scathing New York Magazine profile in which former staffers accused him of missing votes and being mentally unwell and erratic. You know, that seems to be the way to go these days. If someone is not doing exactly what the progressives want, they accuse them of being mentally unwell. Now, they never pulled that on Joe Biden, and he really was mentally unwell. They just looked the other way for Joe Biden. But, you know, that's part of the target now is they're claiming that President Trump is not mentally fit, that he forgets things. He kind of stumbled on the steps of Air Force One the other day. They're making a big deal out of that. They didn't care what Joe Biden did, but now they've suddenly become very interested in people's mental wellness. Senator Fetterman dismissed a report as a hit piece from a left publication and told Bill Maher on Saturday that his staff cynically exploited his health issues and turned on him because of his views on Israel and immigration. He told Maher, what happened after Israel and the border, and some of the times I have to disagree with my party. Now, that's what brought us to that place where kind of canceling. It was a little bit of a different thing. Now we've all moved on from that. I've made 90% of the votes. None of them were determinative. People in the Senate have missed more votes than I did, but they weren't breaking the kind of rules that I did. So they weaponized that in a very cynical way. Again, in other words, they turned on him. His own party turned on him. Now, you know, folks, Washington's never short on drama, whether it's Democrat or Republican. There was a showdown and about to be another showdown that's got all the ingredients of a good old political family feud. Trump, tax cuts, debt ceilings, and a senator who's never met a federal dollar he didn't want to slash to pieces, which is a good thing at times. Of course, I'm talking about Senator Rand Paul, who just told NBC Meet the Press over the weekend that he's not a no vote on President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, but he's certainly not a yes vote either. So let's jump into this for a minute. What exactly, or where does Senator Rand Paul stand on this? Because he could single-handedly hold this up. Now, if you've been following the bill, I know most of you have. We've talked about it quite a bit. You know that it's packed with exactly what conservatives have been fighting for and what President Donald Trump promised in the 2024 election. Permanent Trump tax cuts, top of the list. No tax on tips, which is huge for service industry workers. Massive spending cuts. And yes, a debt ceiling hike to keep the economy humming. But here comes Rand Paul, the Senate's one-man austerity army, if you will. He's throwing cold water on it because the debt ceiling gets raised by $5 trillion. He doesn't like that. And I got to say, we need people like Rand Paul watching over this because we're never going to get our debt under control if we keep raising the debt ceiling and we keep going deeper in debt. I get that. Senator Paul told NBC's Kristen Welker, I like the tax cuts. I think there should be more spending cuts, but if they want my vote, they'll have to negotiate. Now, folks, I respect Rand Paul. He's a principled guy. He's a libertarian. He believes Congress is awful with money, which we all believe that. We agree with that. But here's the problem. He wants to vote on the debt ceiling separately. There could be a problem because it may never get through. He wants it done in 3-month increments. Now, can you imagine Congress revisiting the circus every quarter? I don't know. Maybe Senator Paul's headed in the right direction. I just think it would be chaos every quarter if we do this. Now, President Trump's not taking this lightly. He lit up True Social after hearing Rand Paul's comments on NBC. His post said, if Senator Rand Paul votes against our great big beautiful bill, he is voting for, along with the radical left Democrats, a 68% tax increase and perhaps even more importantly, a first-time ever default on U.S. debt. He said the great people of Kentucky will never forgive him. Ouch. You don't want Donald Trump coming after you like that. Although I guess Rand Paul thinks that he can survive an attack and that people of Kentucky will reelect him. I don't know. I mean, basically, President Trump is saying, Rand Paul, you're either with us or you're with Schumer and Pelosi and AOC. And look, the math checks out. Without the bill, a lot of economists are saying that we default. Markets crash. Democrats then blame Republicans. It's our fault. Folks, the bill is the culmination of America First economics. You can't claim to be a fiscal hawk while leaving the country vulnerable to a debt default. It's just not workable. It's not feasible. Now, Rand Paul told reporters last week that he was uninvited to a White House picnic, apparently in retaliation for his opposition to the bill. Now, you may have seen some of the photos that were on social media over the weekend of all these members of Congress and U.S. senators out on the front lawn of the White House having a good time. A lot of photo ops there. Senator Paul evidently wasn't invited. His words, the level of immaturity is beyond words. Immaturity is beyond words, he said. Seriously, we're arguing over party invites now. Well, Trump, always a showman, jumped on Truth Social to clear the air. He said, of course, Senator Rand Paul and his beautiful wife and family are invited to the big White House party. He's the toughest vote in the history of the Senate. The party will be great. So I honestly don't know if Rand Paul made it to the party or not. I don't know if maybe they were negotiating the debt ceiling over lemonade barbecued ribs. I mean, only in Washington could something like that happen anyway, right? The protest at Unity Park in Greenville was just one of a number of South Carolina demonstrations on June 14th over the weekend. Charleston, Myrtle Beach, they were scattered all around South Carolina and throughout the nation. The No Kings protesting ICE, protesting the military, protesting President Donald Trump. They were just protesting. I guess they don't like anything that's happening in the country. Again, the good news is they evidently were fairly peaceful, not a lot of reports of violence, and particularly in South Carolina. The protesters at times were chanting things like no to ICE and equal rights. I thought it was kind of interesting that they had the protest here in the upstate at Unity Park, but they don't want any unity, I guess. A number of speakers appeared at the Greenville event. And look, I started reading some of the articles, some of the comments, and it just frustrates me to hear some of their idiocy. I applaud their right to protest. That's what our country is all about. I just don't want to get too involved with it. The rally, we're told, was organized by Greenville Progressive Coalition, which includes a number of different groups I've never heard of. The 5501SC, don't know who that is. Indivisible Upstate, don't know who that is. We the People Greenville, I don't know who that is either. But again, it was peaceful. I guess they got they're satisfied. They're happy that they got to march around and bash President Trump, basically bash our country, because some of the protesters were critical of the military parade. They thought that it was a waste of money. So we'll see. In other news, Alex Murdaugh, the his surviving son, Buster Murdaugh, back in the news. It's like the Murdaugh family is just never going to go away. Buster was granted a victory when a federal judge decided to allow his defamation suit against CNN parent company Warner Brothers to continue. Former South Carolina Attorney General Charlie Condon is representing Mr. Murdaugh. Court documents filed in the U.S. District Court of the District of South Carolina on June 9th detailed Judge Richard Mark Gergel's order denying Warner Brothers and Blackfin Inc.'s motion to dismiss the lawsuit, which alleges that the media conglomerates insinuated and implied in their respective Murdaugh documentary that Buster, who is now 28 years old, had murdered a 19-year-old Hampton County man named Stephen Smith. And this part of the story was a pretty big part of the documentary. I watched it, and Buster Murdaugh is right. If you watch the documentary, you came away thinking, well, did Murdaugh actually have this guy taken out? The story is this Stephen Smith was a former classmate of Buster Murdaugh. He's found dead on a road in Hampton County, out in the middle of nowhere, where the Murdaugh family is from. It was in the summer of 2015. An autopsy later determined that he had been fatally struck by a vehicle in a hit and run while he was walking along the road after running out of gas. Mr. Condon, in representing Buster Murdaugh, said there were rumors Buster Murdaugh was somehow involved, that Buster Murdaugh was somehow involved in his death, and the basis of the lawsuit is that these media companies, the main claim being something called defamation by implication, that they would take interviews of people living in the area that would in effect repeat these rumors about Buster Murdaugh being involved in this murder. And the lawsuit claims that they just simply aired these interviews of rumors and would juxtapose those interviews with the actual law enforcement documents and related information. I mean, you really did. Again, if you watched it, you came away thinking that Murdaugh had something to do with this. Now, keep in mind, this happened long before his dad went on trial for murdering his brother and his mother, before the Murdaugh name became a household name across the country. The Murdaugh family had ruled in those counties, at Hampton County and that area of the state, for years. It was like they were above the law. And I think this rumor had gotten started because this Stephen Smith guy, rumors had gotten started locally that Smith had been saying some things about Buster and maybe even suggesting a homosexuality. And everybody in the county evidently believed that the Murdaugh family could do anything. I don't know that anyone was surprised when the murders happened on their estate. They were just surprised that the father was charged and convicted. The defamation suit, though, says that Warner Brothers and Blackfin produced the Warner Brothers documentary, and it implicated Buster and Smith's death. The media companies tried early on to dismiss this case. Buster is arguing that statements regarding Smith's death made in the documentary about his father's crimes are defamatory and falsely accuse the plaintiff of committing a crime or moral turpitude. Now, what you also need to know is that investigators began looking into possible links between young Smith's death and the Murdaugh family after Buster's mother and brother were shot just miles away from their estate. This new investigation revealed that they did not think there was any link between the Murdaughs and Smith's death. So local authorities dismissed this, but yet his complaint is that CNN has continued to broadcast the documentary, which still raises the question and interviews some of Smith's friends and family who still believe that Murdaugh had something to do with it, even though local officials have said he did not after their investigation. Charlie Condon called the decision to allow the suit to proceed a real victory for Buster Murdaugh and his legal team, that they were able to keep the case alive. CNN may end up paying some money on this. This may be a costly mistake for CNN. Mr. Condon added that the fact that the suit survived this early stage is really significant in terms of where the case might head. He said, "I do know that Judge Gergel would apply the law very rigorously, and the fact that he's letting these cases go forward tells me that, again, at this very early stage, these cases appear to have merit." The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division opened a homicide investigation into Smith's death in June of 2021, about 2 weeks after Alex Murdaugh fatally shot his wife, Maggie, and his son, Paul. Alex Murdaugh was convicted in Maggie and Paul's murder in March of 2023, sentenced to life in prison. His life will never be the same. He'll spend the rest of his life behind bars. Prosecutors said that Alex murdered his wife and youngest son to distract from his financial crimes. The 56-year-old took in clients who had suffered injuries in various accidents. He helped them get millions of dollars, in which he would not tell his clients exactly how much they got. He would keep most of it for himself. They never knew how much they actually should have gotten. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.